First contact in the void. The warning klaxon jolted Commander Sarah Chen from her meditation. She was on her feet before the second blare, already moving toward the bridge of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. The ship's AI, HFY, spoke through the ship-wide comm. Anomalous energy signature detected. Range: 2.3 million kilometers. Bearing: 047 Mark 023. Status report. Sarah barked as she entered the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded her command chair. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, her sensor officer, spoke without looking up from his station. "Commander, we're picking up what appears to be a damaged vessel near Neptune's L4 point. But the configuration doesn't match anything in our database." Sarah felt her pulse quicken. After 15 years of deep space exploration, humanity had yet to make contact with another spacefaring civilization. They'd found ruins, artifacts, and simple life forms, but never an active alien vessel. "Show me," she ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a massive ship that seemed to be built from overlapping hexagonal plates. Its surface rippled with faint bioluminescence, but large sections were dark and clearly damaged. As they watched, another section of lights flickered and died. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, leaning forward in her chair. "Strong readings, Commander. But they're unlike anything we've seen before. The ship appears to be running on minimal power, and their life support systems are showing critical failures in multiple sections." Dr. Emily Winston, the ship's xenobiologist, spoke up from her station. "Those energy patterns, they're similar to the bioluminescent signatures we documented on Europa. This could be a silicon-based life form." Sarah nodded, remembering the microscopic creatures they'd discovered in Europa's subsurface ocean. But this was something entirely different, an advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel. "Ma'am," Marcus interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission. Well, you should hear this." A haunting series of crystalline tones filled the bridge, rising and falling in complex patterns. After a few moments, HFY's translation matrix began to decode the mathematical basis of the transmission. "They're broadcasting their ship's status," HFY announced. "Multiple hull breaches, cascading system failures. They're requesting immediate assistance." Sarah didn't hesitate. "Take us in closer, but maintain safe distance. Begin first contact protocols." "Commander," her XO, Commander James Harper, stepped closer to her chair. "Starfleet Command standing orders require us to await authorization before engaging with unknown species. Those orders assume we have time to wait for a response." Sarah countered. "Look at their power readings. They've got hours at most before complete system failure. By the time we get authorization, we'll be recovering bodies." She opened a channel to engineering. "Chief Rivera, I need options. How can we help a ship we've never seen before, running on technology we don't understand?" Chief Maria Rivera's voice came back confident despite the challenge. "Give me 30 minutes to analyze their power signatures. If we can understand how their systems work, we might be able to jury-rig something compatible with our own tech." "You have 15. Sarah replied. "Harper, prepare a first contact team. Full quarantine protocols, but I want our best engineers and xenobiologists ready to board if necessary." The next hour was a blur of activity. The alien vessel continued broadcasting, their mathematical language growing more complex as HFY's translation matrix improved. They learned the ship was called something that translated roughly to Seeker of Distant Shores, and it carried over 3,000 beings they came to call the Lumini, named for their bioluminescent biology. The Lumini had fled their home system after their star began to destabilize, but a massive solar flare had caught their ship near Neptune, damaging crucial systems. They'd been drifting for weeks, trying to repair their ship with dwindling resources. Chief Rivera's voice cut through the tension on the bridge. "Commander, I think we've got something. Their power systems are based on crystalline matrices, similar to our quantum computers but far more advanced. We can't repair their technology, but we might be able to hook our fusion reactors directly into their power grid. It's risky, but it's their only chance, Sarah finished. She stood, straightening her uniform. Harper, you have the bridge. I'm leading the boarding party myself. Commander, regulations clearly state that the commanding officer should not endanger themselves unnecessarily. Sarah cut him off. But this isn't unnecessary. We're about to make first contact with a dying species. They need to see our authority, our commitment. This is what we trained for. The boarding party assembled in the shuttle bay. Sarah, Chief Rivera, Dr. Winston, and a small team of engineers and security personnel. As they suited up in their environmental suits, Sarah addressed the team. We don't know exactly what we're walking into. Their atmosphere, gravity, and biology are all alien to us. But we know one thing. There are 3,000 thinking, feeling beings on that ship who need our help. Today, we show them what humanity stands for. The shuttle ride was tense but quick. As they approached the massive alien vessel, they could see the damage more clearly. Entire sections were dark and lifeless, while others pulsed with weak, failing light. Their first sight of the Lumini took their breath away. The aliens were roughly humanoid in shape, but their crystalline bodies seemed to shift and flow like liquid glass, internal lights dancing in complex patterns. They moved with an otherworldly grace that made the humans feel clumsy and primitive in comparison. Communication was difficult at first, limited to mathematical equations and simple diagrams shared through tablets. But the universal language of engineering bridged many gaps. Chief Rivera worked side by side with the Lumini engineers, their different approaches to technology complementing each other in unexpected ways. The humans' rugged, adaptable technology paired surprisingly well with the Lumini's elegant but vulnerable systems. Within hours, they had rigged a prototype power transfer system, channeling energy from the Horizon's fusion reactors through specially modified crystals provided by the Lumini. When the first power transfer succeeded, the Lumini's joy was visible in the brilliant patterns of light that rippled through their bodies. Their ship's systems began to stabilize, and for the first time since the solar flare, they had hope. But it wasn't over. The jury-rigged power system was a temporary solution at best. The Lumini ship needed major repairs, and they were still dangerously far from any human settlement that could help them. As Sarah stood in the Lumini's control room, watching humans and aliens working together to save lives, she felt a profound sense of rightness. This was why humanity had reached for the stars, not just for exploration or resources, but for moments like this, when they could extend a helping hand to others who shared this vast galaxy. The Lumini approached her, its crystalline form shifting into what she had learned was a formal posture. Through the improved translation matrix, it conveyed not just words but emotions. Gratitude, respect, and something that translated roughly as recognition of kindred spirits. We had heard stories of your species, the Lumini communicated. Some called you primitive, others dangerous. But we see now that you are something else entirely. You are builders of bridges between the stars. Sarah smiled behind her faceplate. We're still learning, still growing. But today, we've both learned something valuable. That no matter how different we may seem, we can find ways to help each other. As she looked out at the massive ship, now pulsing with steady light from the combined human and Lumini technology, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. They had weeks of work ahead to fully repair the ship, and years of cultural and technological exchange to look forward to. But humanity had passed its first real test among the stars. When faced with an alien species in need, they hadn't hesitated. They had reached out with open hands and creative minds, proving that compassion and ingenuity knew no biological bounds. The stars had just become a much more interesting place. Bridge across the stars. Chief Rivera's hands were steady as she made the final adjustments to the power coupling, but sweat beaded on her forehead inside her environmental suit. The makeshift connection between the UES Horizon's fusion reactor and the Lumini vessel's crystalline power grid was holding, but the readings were becoming increasingly erratic. "The power fluctuations are getting worse," she reported, watching as energy levels spiked dangerously on her diagnostic panel. "Their crystal matrices weren't designed to handle our type of energy output. We need a better solution, and fast." A Lumini engineer, whom the crew had started calling Echo due to the rhythmic patterns of light that pulsed through its crystalline form, moved closer to examine the readings. Its movements were more sluggish than before, a sign of the strain their failing life support systems were putting on the entire species. Through the improved translation matrix, Echo conveyed its concerns. "Your energy is too chaotic for our systems. Our crystals require harmony, resonance. They are rejecting the foreign power." Dr. Emily Winston, who had been studying the Lumini's biological readings, looked up from her datapad. "Commander Chen, I think I might have something. The Lumini's entire technology is based on crystalline resonance, not just their ships, but their bodies too. They don't just use technology, they harmonize with it." Commander Sarah Chen nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "So we're going about this all wrong. Instead of forcing our power into their systems, we need to find a way to make it resonate with their crystalline structure." "Exactly," Emily continued, growing excited. "It's like trying to play two different instruments together. Right now, we're just making noise. We need to find the right frequency, the right harmony." Chief Rivera was already recalibrating her equipment. "We could modify our power output to match their crystalline frequency, but we'd need a way to analyze their resonance patterns with much more precision than our current sensors allow." Echo's body flickered with what they had learned was their equivalent of inspiration. It extended one crystalline appendage toward the power coupling, its internal lights pulsing in complex patterns. The nearby crystals began to resonate in response, creating a haunting melody of light and energy. "They're showing us," Emily breathed. "Their bodies are natural resonance detectors. They can feel the frequencies directly." For the next several hours, the human and Lumini engineers worked together in a strange but effective combination of high technology and intuitive understanding. The Lumini would touch different components, their bodies resonating with the crystal matrices, while the humans adjusted their power output to match the frequencies they observed. Commander Harper's voice came through the comm, tension evident even through the static. "Commander Chen, we've got another problem. Long-range sensors are picking up a solar storm heading our way. Smaller than the one that damaged their ship, but still dangerous. ETA 6 hours. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. They were running out of time. "Understood. Chief Rivera, what's our status?" "We're close," Maria replied, not looking up from her work. "The resonance patterns are starting to align, but we need something to help stabilize the connection. Their crystals keep trying to reject our power when the frequency shifts even slightly." Dr. Winston had been quiet for several minutes, staring at her data readings. "What if we use their own technology against the problem? The Lumini store backup power in smaller crystal arrays. If we could modify one to act as a buffer." Echo's body pulsed with rapid patterns of light as it grasped the concept. It quickly communicated with its fellow engineers, and soon they brought forward a cluster of small, perfectly formed crystals. "These are sacred to us," Echo transmitted. "They are grown from the same crystal formations that gave birth to our consciousness, but we offer them freely to save our people." The next 2 hours were a blur of careful modifications and precise adjustments. They placed the crystal cluster between the human power supply and the Lumini systems, using it as a natural frequency converter. The Lumini engineers used their natural resonance abilities to tune the crystals while Chief Rivera modified the power flow. When they activated the new system, the effect was immediate and beautiful. The crystal cluster began to glow with a deep, steady light, perfectly matching the pulse of the Lumini's own bodies. Power flowed smoothly into their ship systems, and for the first time since the rescue began, the alien vessel's lights stabilized. "Power flow is steady," Maria reported, a rare smile breaking across her face. "Their systems are accepting the energy without resistance, Life support is beginning to recover. Sarah watched as ripples of bright, joyful light cascaded through the gathered lumini. Their crystalline bodies seemed to shine from within, resonating with their newly stabilized systems. It was one of the most beautiful things she had ever seen. But they weren't done yet. Echo stepped forward, its body pulsing with what they now recognized as excitement. Through the translator, it explained that the human solution had done more than just save their ship. By using the sacred crystals as a bridge between their technologies, they had created something entirely new, a hybrid system that was more efficient than either of its parent technologies. Your chaos and our harmony. Echo transmitted. They do not fight each other anymore. They dance together. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a temporary fix. It was the beginning of an entirely new field of human lumini technological cooperation. The very crisis that had brought them together might lead to revolutionary advances for both species. Sarah's calm crackled again. "Commander," Harper's voice was urgent. "That solar storm's accelerated. New ETA 4 hours. We need to get our people out of here." "Negative," Sarah replied firmly. "We've just achieved stable power transfer. Our new crystal interface should help protect both ships, but we need to stay and monitor the system through its first major test. We're in this together now." She looked around at her crew, human and Lumini working side by side, neither species looking quite so alien to each other anymore. They had built more than just a power coupling here. They had built a bridge between two civilizations, founded on cooperation, innovation, and trust. As both ships prepared for the approaching storm, Sarah couldn't help but feel optimistic. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, each species contributing its unique strengths to overcome any obstacle. The universe had just become a much smaller and much more interesting place. Trial by fire. The solar storm painted Neptune's atmosphere in sheets of ethereal light, but Commander Sarah Chen had no time to admire the view. On the bridge of the UES horizon, tension mounted as the wave of charged particles approached both ships. "Storm intensity has increased again," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his sensor console. "First wave will hit us in 20 minutes. Chief Rivera's voice crackled through the comm from the Lumini vessel. "Commander, we've got a problem. The crystal interface is picking up harmonic resonance from the storm. It's affecting the power transfer stability." Sarah watched the status displays, her mind racing. The hybrid power system they'd created was working, but the approaching storm's electromagnetic interference threatened to disrupt the delicate balance they'd achieved. If the power transfer failed during the storm, the Lumini ship would be defenseless. "Can we adjust the resonance frequency?" she asked. "Negative," Maria replied. "The storm's giving off too many competing frequencies. The crystals can't find a stable harmony to lock onto." Echo, who had become the primary liaison between the two species, moved to the center of the Lumini bridge. Its crystalline body pulsed with complex patterns that the translation matrix interpreted as both concern and determination. "There may be another way," Echo transmitted. "Our ancestors faced similar storms in our home system. They would link multiple ships together, creating a resonance network strong enough to weather any disturbance." Dr. Winston's voice joined the conversation. "The crystalline network they're describing. It's like a natural frequency dampening field. But Commander, to make it work, we'd need to physically connect both ships." Sarah's eyes widened at the implications. "You're talking about hard docking our vessels. That's never been attempted between different species ships before. The structural stresses alone." "We have no choice," Echo transmitted. "Alone, neither of our ships can withstand what's coming. Together, we might have a chance." The next 15 minutes were a blur of activity. Both crews worked frantically to modify their docking systems, creating a makeshift connection point between the human and Lumini vessels. The engineering teams had to overcome not just technical incompatibilities, but fundamental differences in how each species approached space travel. "Docking clamps engage," Harper reported as the ships locked together, with a shudder that ran through both hulls. Structural integrity is holding. Barely. Sarah opened a channel to all crew members on both ships. This is Commander Chen. In 5 minutes, we face the strongest solar storm ever recorded in this sector. We're about to attempt something never done before, merging our shield systems with Lumini crystal technology. Everyone to emergency stations. Whatever happens, we face it together. The storm hit like a hammer blow from the gods. Both ships shuddered under the impact as the first wave of charged particles washed over them. The Horizon's conventional shields flared brilliant blue, while the Lumini's crystalline hull resonated with patterns of light that seemed to bend the very space around them. Shield strength at 80% and falling, Rodriguez called out. The harmonic disruption is getting worse. In the engineering section of the Lumini ship, Chief Rivera and her alien counterparts worked desperately to stabilize the power transfer. The crystal interface was vibrating now, producing a high-pitched tone that set human teeth on edge and made the Lumini's bodies flicker erratically. The frequency variance is too high, Maria reported. We're losing the resonance lock. Echo suddenly moved forward, placing its crystalline hands directly on the interface crystal. Other Lumini followed suit, their bodies beginning to pulse and sync. Through the translator, Echo's message came through with desperate intensity. We can stabilize the frequency ourselves. Our bodies, our consciousness, they're part of the same crystalline matrix as our technology. We can guide it, but we need your help. Dr. Winston was already moving. They're right. Their bodies are natural resonance stabilizers. If we can synchronize our power output with their biological frequency. Do it, Sarah ordered. Divert all non-essential power to the shield grid. Match their resonance pattern. The next few minutes would be forever seared into the memories of both crews. As the storm raged around them, humans and Lumini worked as one. The aliens formed a living crystal network, their bodies linking the ship's systems together in ways that defied conventional physics. Human engineers fine-tuned their power systems to match the aliens' natural frequency, creating a hybrid shield that drew strength from both technologies. Warning klaxons blared as the storm reached its peak. The connected ships groaned under the strain, their merged shield systems creating spectacular displays of light and energy. Inside, crew members of both species fought to maintain the delicate balance they'd created. Hull stress approaching critical levels, Harper warned. We can't take much more of this. But something extraordinary was happening. The Lumini's crystalline resonance, combined with human power generation, had created a feedback loop that was actually growing stronger. The hybrid shield wasn't just defending against the storm. It was adapting, learning, becoming something entirely new. Energy patterns are stabilizing, Rodriguez reported, amazement clear in his voice. The shield, it's not just blocking the storm, it's channeling it, using the solar particles to reinforce itself. Through the viewports, they could see their merged shield system at work. It rippled with colors never before seen by human eyes, a perfect blend of human engineering and alien crystal harmonics. The storm that should have destroyed them was instead making them stronger. When the last wave of the storm passed, both bridges erupted in celebration. Humans cheered and embraced while Lumini pulsed with brilliant displays of joyous light. They had done more than survive. They had proven that their differences could become their greatest strength. Echo approached Sarah, its crystalline form glowing with what she now recognized as profound respect. In our darkest hour, it transmitted, you did not see us as aliens to be feared or pitied. You saw us as equals worthy of trust and cooperation. Today, we have created something unprecedented, a true bridge between our peoples. Sarah smiled, exhausted but proud. That's what humans do best. We don't just solve problems, we build connections, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning. As the engineering teams began studying the remarkable shield system they'd created, Sarah knew Echo was right. This crisis had forced both species to move beyond mere cooperation into true symbiosis. They had glimpsed a future where the combined strengths of humanity and the Lumini could achieve things neither species had dreamed possible alone. The stars suddenly seemed a little less dark and a lot more full of possibility. The price of compassion. Commander Chen, you directly violated Starfleet command protocols regarding first contact scenarios. You endangered your ship, your crew, and potentially exposed humanity to unknown alien biological and technological threats. What do you have to say for yourself? Admiral Harrison's holographic form glowered at Sarah from the briefing room's display. After the solar storm had passed, the delayed communications from Earth had finally caught up with them. As expected, not everyone was happy with her decisions. With respect, Admiral, Sarah replied, standing straight-backed before the projection. There wasn't time to wait for authorization. 3,000 lives were at stake. The Lumini would have died while we waited for paperwork. That's not your call to make, Commander. There are procedures. Procedures that assume we have the luxury of time. Sarah interrupted. Sir, I understand the need for caution. But out here, in the black, sometimes we have to trust our judgment. The Lumini needed help, and we helped. Isn't that what Starfleet stands for? The Admiral's expression softened slightly. Your humanitarian instincts do you credit, Commander. But this isn't just about saving lives. Your actions have created a significant political situation. The Galactic Commerce Council is already demanding access to this crystal interface technology you've developed. Several major corporations are claiming your modifications to their proprietary systems violate patent laws. Sarah felt her temper flare. With all due respect, sir, we just proved that humanity can successfully cooperate with an advanced alien species. We've made technological breakthroughs that could revolutionize space travel. And the bureaucrats are worried about patents. Politics doesn't end at the atmosphere, Commander. You've opened a very complicated door. The Admiral paused, studying her. However, given the remarkable results of your initiative, Starfleet Command is willing to be lenient, provided you handle the next phase carefully. Next phase, sir. The Lumini need a new home. Their ship is still damaged, despite your innovative repairs. Earth has authorized temporary sanctuary. But there are conditions. We need full documentation of all technological exchanges, and any further modifications must be approved through proper channels. After the Admiral's transmission ended, Sarah stood at the briefing room window, watching the ethereal glow of the Lumini ship beside them. They'd achieved something remarkable here, but now the real challenges were beginning. Chief Rivera's voice came through the comm. Commander, you need to see this. We've found something concerning in the Lumini ship systems. In the Lumini engine room, Maria pointed to a complex display of crystal formations. The interface we created isn't just transferring power anymore, it's evolving. The crystals are growing, adapting, creating new configurations we don't understand. Echo, who had been observing nearby, pulsed with what Sarah now recognized as excitement. This is unprecedented. The merger of our technologies has awakened something dormant in our crystal matrices. They are becoming more than the sum of their parts. Dr. Winston, who had been analyzing data from the hybrid systems, looked up from her pad. The crystal structures are mimicking patterns we've seen in both human and Lumini neural networks. It's almost as if the technology itself is learning. Is it dangerous? Sarah asked, watching the shifting patterns of light within the crystals. Not dangerous, Echo transmitted, but powerful, more powerful than either of our species anticipated. This could change everything: space travel, communication, energy production. The corporations your leaders fear. They are right to be concerned. This technology cannot be controlled or contained by any one group. Sarah understood the implications. The hybrid technology they'd created wasn't just a temporary solution to save the Lumini. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something that could upend the balance of power in human space. Commander, Maria said quietly, there's more. The Lumini have shared their star charts with us. The radiation storm that damaged their ship, it wasn't an isolated incident. Their entire sector of space is becoming increasingly unstable. There could be more refugees coming. Sarah felt the weight of command settle more heavily on her shoulders. They weren't just dealing with one ship of refugees anymore. This could be the beginning of a major migration crisis, and Earth was already nervous about hosting the Lumini they'd found. Echo's crystalline form shifted, producing patterns that the translator interpreted as both concern and determination. "We understand the difficulty our presence creates for your people. Perhaps we should seek sanctuary elsewhere." "No," Sarah said firmly. "We started this together. We'll finish it together. But we need to be smart about it." She turned to her crew. "Dr. Winston, I want a full report on the potential applications of this hybrid technology. Everything it could do to help both our species. Chief Rivera, work with the Lumini engineers to document exactly how we created the interface. We need to prove this wasn't just a desperate gamble. It's the future of interspecies cooperation." Over the next few days, as they continued their journey toward Earth, Sarah watched her crew and the Lumini grow closer. The initial barriers of biology and culture were falling away, replaced by genuine friendship and mutual respect. Human engineers were learning to read Lumini light patterns without the translator, while some Lumini had begun attempting to mimic human gestures. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Several crew members had reported headaches and strange dreams after prolonged exposure to the crystal interface. The Lumini were experiencing their own inexplicable reactions to human technology. Both species were changing, adapting to each other in ways no one had predicted. During a quiet moment on the bridge, Sarah found herself talking with Echo about the challenges ahead. "Your people fear change," Echo observed, its lights pulsing softly. "This is not unique to humans. When our star began to die, many of our people refused to leave, claiming our crystal cities could withstand anything. They did not survive." Sarah nodded. "Fear of the unknown is a powerful thing. But so is hope. What we've created here, what we've proven is possible, it's worth fighting for. Even if it costs you your career." Echo asked, demonstrating a growing understanding of human concerns. "Some things are more important than careers," Sarah replied. "When we reached for the stars, we didn't do it just to stick flags in new worlds. We did it to grow, to learn, to become more than we were. Meeting your people, helping you, this is why we're out here." As they approached the inner solar system, Sarah knew the real challenges were just beginning. They would face resistance, fear, and bureaucratic obstacles. But they had proven something extraordinary was possible when two different species chose to trust each other. The price of compassion might be high, but the rewards were beyond measure. Legacy of hope. The sight of Earth rising over the lunar horizon never failed to take Sarah's breath away. But today, watching it through the crystalline viewport of the new human Lumini research station, the view seemed especially poignant. 1 year had passed since the UES Horizon had first encountered the damaged Lumini vessel, and everything had changed. Still finding excuses to stare at your homeworld. Echo's familiar harmonic tones resonated through the station's hybrid communication system. The Lumini's crystalline form shimmered with what Sarah now recognized as gentle amusement. "Some views never get old," she replied, turning to face her friend. "How are the new resonance experiments going?" Echo's body pulsed with excitement, beyond our most optimistic projections. The merger of human quantum computing with our crystal matrices has opened possibilities we never imagined. We can now achieve stable communications across distances that would have seemed impossible a year ago. The research station itself was a testament to how far they'd come. Its hull was a seamless blend of human alloys and Lumini crystal technology, stronger and more efficient than either species could have created alone. The hybrid power system they'd improvised during the crisis had evolved into something revolutionary, drawing energy from subspace in ways that defied conventional physics. "Commander Chen." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through the comm. "The first transport from the Lumini colony is requesting docking clearance." Sarah smiled. After months of negotiations and preparation, The first permanent Lumini settlement in the Sol system was becoming a reality. They had chosen a location in the Jovian system, where the intense radiation that would harm humans actually helped power their crystalline technology. "Grant them clearance," she ordered. "And James, it's just Sarah now. I gave up the commander's stripes when I took this position, remember?" Her resignation from Starfleet had caused quite a stir. Many had seen it as an act of protest against the bureaucratic restrictions being placed on human Lumini cooperation. In reality, she had simply recognized that she could do more good outside the military structure. As director of the Joint Research Station, she could foster the kind of innovation and collaboration that both species needed. Dr. Winston's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Sarah, Echo, you both need to see this. The latest test results from the biosynthesis lab are, well, they're extraordinary." In the laboratory module, Emily could barely contain her excitement as she showed them the data. "We've successfully merged human stem cell technology with Lumini crystal growth patterns. The implications for medical science are staggering. We could potentially regrow damaged organs, repair neural pathways, maybe even extend human lifespans, and help our people adapt to new environments," Echo added, its lights pulsing thoughtfully. "Many of my people still struggle with Earth's atmospheric pressure. This could help us create biological adaptations without losing our essential nature." Sarah watched the two scientists, human and Lumini, bounce ideas off each other with easy familiarity. This was what she had fought for, what she had sacrificed her military career to protect. Not just cooperation, but true synthesis between species. Chief Rihara's team had made equally remarkable breakthroughs in engineering. The hybrid crystal interface they created during the rescue had evolved into an entirely new field of technology. Ships equipped with the new systems could travel faster, communicate more clearly, and operate more efficiently than ever before. But it wasn't just about technology. The cultural exchange between humans and Lumini had led to profound changes in both societies. Humans were learning to think in terms of harmony and resonance, while the Lumini were discovering the benefits of human adaptability and innovation. "Sarah," Echo transmitted, its tone carrying unusual weight. "The Council of Elders has reached a decision about the archive data." She straightened, knowing the significance of this moment. The Lumini had been debating for months whether to share their historical records with humanity. Some feared that humans weren't ready for the knowledge they contained. "They have agreed to full disclosure," Echo continued, "including the records of other species we encountered before our star's death. You were right. Secrets between allies only breed distrust." The implications were enormous. The Lumini records could provide humanity with insights into dozens of alien civilizations, potentially advancing their development by centuries. More importantly, it was a sign of absolute trust. "There will be those who say we're moving too fast," Sarah mused, watching another transport ship dock with the station. "That we're giving up too much of our independence, our separate identities. They said the same thing when your people first formed nations, did they not?" Echo's lights pulsed with what she recognized as wisdom. "Change is always frightening, but stagnation is death. Our peoples are not losing themselves. We are growing into something greater together." An alert sounded, drawing their attention to the long-range sensors. Sarah felt her heart skip as she recognized the energy signature. Another vessel with Lumini readings, but this one was different from any they'd seen before. "It appears we are not the only refugees who survived," Echo transmitted, its tone complex with emotion. "The question is, old friend, are you ready to do it all again?" Sarah laughed, already moving toward the control center, ready to help more people in need, to push the boundaries of what's possible, to prove that compassion and cooperation trump fear and isolation. Always, as she watched her human and Lumini crew working seamlessly together to prepare for the new arrival, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. The crisis that had brought their species together had been just the beginning. They had faced opposition, skepticism, and fear, but they had persevered. The hybrid technology they'd created was revolutionary, but it wasn't their greatest achievement. Their true legacy was hope. Hope that different species could not only coexist but thrive together, that the universe's vast diversity could be a source of strength rather than conflict. Through the station's crystal-enhanced viewport, Earth still shone blue and beautiful. But now it wasn't just humanity's cradle. It was a beacon of hope for other species, a symbol of what was possible when fear gave way to trust, when compassion trumped caution, when the unknown was seen not as a threat but as an opportunity. The stars had once seemed cold and distant. Now they beckoned with endless possibilities, not just for exploration, but for connection. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, growing stronger with each obstacle overcome, each boundary pushed, each new connection forged. The legacy of that first desperate encounter between a human exploration ship and a damaged alien vessel would echo through the ages, not just in the technology they created or the scientific breakthroughs they achieved, but in the proof that when faced with the unknown, humanity's greatest strength was its capacity for compassion, innovation, and hope. The future was crystallizing before them, more brilliant and beautiful than either species could have imagined alone.